to the scene. It's your host TTP. We're flying high in the crypto sky. You and me from Bitcoin rush to Ethereum. We traded all the coins with the trading parity, making that joyful noise. We got bots, we got plots, charts on the big screen. 3 comments to Wick Hunter with a trading machine. Laughing all the way to the bank. It's a fun parade with every trade we made. Watch how we get paid. TTP's got the formula, flipping coins like a spatula in the crypto game with the vernacular spectacular. From the morning to the night, we're streaming with the light, drunk and trading parallel. We'll teach you how to fight. Dive into the charts, the RSI liquidity at a glance, trends on the rise. We never leave it up to chance. All trading Ganium, tools of the champion breed. With AI and math, we're planting the money seed. Laugh with us, trade with us, ain't no looking back. You're with the parrot now, leading the pack. Alpha profits, snap plus with the crypto law. TTP's on the mic and he's ready to soar. TTP's on the mic and he's ready to soar. TTP's got the formula, flipping coins like a spatula in the crypto game with a vernacular spectacular. From the morning to the night, we're streaming with the light, join the trading parallel. We'll teach you how to fight. Dive into the charts.
Hello guys, welcome to the Train Parrot. It's been a while since we don't do a live stream, and I think this is the time. If this is not the time, it will never be. US stock market has now wiped out 1 year worth of gains in just 45 days. We are talking about trillions, guys. So I'm very conscious that even though sometimes I take the piece and I make some jokes about it, I know that it must be really devastating for a lot of people, and I'm thinking about my pension as well. You know, the S&P is a big part not just of the US economy but everywhere. And in this channel, in this particular video, what we're going to do today is a combination of looking at what's going on with the price action. We just had a hit at the 81k that was resistance. We were jumping on it since mid-March, and we have now tested that level. We'll see if we can get over the 81, possibly into higher liquidity. But at the same time, I want to also give you some emotional support. So if you are here, if you have questions, this is going to be Q&A. It's going to be TA as well. So make sure that you leave in the comments all your questions. And I'm going to start the video by looking at what's going on, looking at some news, and then very quickly going into TA of Bitcoin. And if you want to review any altcoin, I know most of the altcoins are being devastated by now, but if you want to know next levels of liquidations to the downside, or where could we bounce if Bitcoin recovers for specific coins, that's all absolutely fine. Psychological questions as well. If you need emotional support, I'm here to help you, to make it easy and less painful, kind of horrible Monday that we're having at the moment. So let's look first at some news. By the way, guys, make sure that you hit the like, write down comments down below, subscribe to the channel, be as noisy as you want to be. Really, it's all fine. It's all going to help the channel to get to more people. Let's look at some hot stories here on Twitter. And we got the Federal Reserve is holding a closed meeting on rates. So that it's actually something that is probably giving a lot of hope to people at the moment. Are the rates gonna be cut with all the things that are happening right now in the markets? And we also have Jim Cramer once again advising this time calm amid market uncertainty. Yesterday he was calling for a Black Monday. Today is calling for being calm. And actually the price is usually doing the opposite, and this hasn't been the exception. Yesterday he called for a Black Monday, and today we are kind of going back into 81k, and he's saying be calm. Pakistan appoints Changpeng Zhao as crypto advisor. I think I've read some news about some potential geopolitical tensions as well. I'm hoping that that's not going to appear in here in the hot stories. Let's go with what's going on with the price on the 4 hour, because we just saw a move into 81. And what I'm fearing at the moment is this 81 level that we've been bouncing since mid-March. Around 18th of March was the first time, and we accumulated liquidity there that now we are just going to give the kiss of death to that level. Hopefully it's not the case. For that, we're going to look into order book and more data, because once you pinch a level aggressively like this is the result of a liquidation. And there's a rejection, strong rejection. It can be two things. It's going to be rejected and we're just going to go lower, or if the price stays around here, it might be an indication that we are potentially going to hammer that level a little bit further and possibly even hold that 80 for a little bit, going into 85. In the video in the morning, I cover what is the incentive to go there. And I say, let's not take it for granted, but it's on the table. We just pinch the percentile level of 27. That was at around 76K. We pinch as well the CPR level. That is the first monthly support. Let me show you that level. It's right there. And by the dollar, we've been for a month and 10 days talking about 74,500 from the point of view of the CPR model. And there you go. As it doesn't get more perfect than that, pinch. Now, does that mean that that's it, that we have to bounce back up? Not necessarily. My guess was that after testing this strong support, that we go back into the pivots. That's my analysis from CPR, and the pivots are located at 83,600. 84 has been a huge level all this range, so going back into 84, I don't discard it. Of course, the 81 is important as well, right? We've been bouncing on that, but the 84 is the point of control. And if you're really wanting to go a lot lower, it's kind of fair to expect that the price goes there and tests that level to say either goodbye or to say, hey, we are in a V recovery. Let's continue into the first level of resistance. But that's still not possible, I will say. We need to see further strength, and at the moment we are seeing just weakness. Today I've been looking at leverage squeeze printing, and it's been in and out the signal for a buy signal, one of these blue LS2 signals. I also update the indicator leverage squeeze for the people that have access to the VIP indicators. So it's not just a black box with the signals, but also I'm showing now the oscillator so we can follow that and see in combination with the signals what's going on. And let's see what I wanted to cover in here. I think I wanted to cover the daily as well. This level where we are bouncing in here is very, very important on the RSI. Let's place this ball in here, and I'm going to do a line. I didn't have time to do that, but I'm going to do it during the live stream. So from this top, if this is considered our top of the range at the moment, 68, what we've been doing now is testing that 40. That 40 coincides with the 81. So it's both on RSI, on momentum, and on price is resistance. Let's leave the line right there so you can visualize why it's support, why it could turn into resistance. And if it turns into resistance, then we're going to get something like this. That is the potential recipe to go to the 12 RSI. If we see a strong rejection with candle close, we still have 1 hour. And if we close like this, that doesn't mean necessarily rejection. We need to see a pivot down, right? So a strong rejection. Unfortunately, there's no room to get the full confirmation. But if in the next candle you take, let's say the 19, that was a horrible rejection. But if we close at 40 and we stick around there, around the 40, and then the next rejection is just into, let's say, 35, that is a small rejection. And that could guarantee that in the next candles, that we try once again in 81 and we meet with the 83,800 later. That is the recipe to go slightly higher, and it's also the recipe to go to the full reset of the 4 hour with this channel from October. And let me see if everything is okay. Is everything okay in the sound guide? Can you hear me all good? Is TradingView down? No, I'm using TradingView. It's all good to me. Cash in hands, looking for entries, is Arconic saying, I would like to buy Bitcoin at dip. I hope it will go lower than 71. Arlette is saying, roller coaster, and Saphir. And I will love if you could look at XRP. Yeah, we can look at XRP, and all good here on the sound. Perfect. So on 4 hour, we are testing that resistance. We are testing that 81. We just saw a initial rejection. We need to assess if that rejection is going to turn into a larger one, sending us into the abysm here into RSI 12. RSI 12 at the moment now is priced at 51K. Whack. That is really disgusting. But that is where RSI 12 is at the moment. And we have done that 1, 2, 3, 4 times every time that we reset. So hopefully this time we break that trend and we just stop there, because that 12 looks really ugly in my opinion. On the daily, the next support is at 25, and that is the 69K. So it's coinciding with the order block that we have in here right before we shoot from 69 all-time high into the new all-time high. That's how relevant is that daily support. We broke down from the squeeze that we spot on the weekend, and we are heading in that direction. Of course, when I say we are heading, I'm not saying it's guaranteed. Some people interpret that we are heading there. Okay, we are going there. It's granted. No, it's pointing in that direction, and the momentum is telling us that we haven't stopped going there. Yeah, if that helps understanding it better. Um, let's see order book. Look, the signal is back. It's back. LS2 now is printing, and the number of shorts are very low. So it in that end is where the shorts start getting into trouble. In the morning, we saw 1 million delta in high block capital. And just give me a second, because we are gonna get just in a bit in the order book. Okay, liquidation levels. We took the 10 excess, the low leverage in the morning. We took the high leverage at 79, where I entered my initial order. I haven't been able to fill the second order, which is somewhere here below the price. And we have rally into 81K. And liquidation levels to the top start from around 85K into 86. That is a small level of liquidation. So if we could have gone 5K more, we could have taken that. And from where we were going 9K down, we take all the bits up until 72. But now price is lower. So that is 6K down to take the lower liquidity. So tough one. So I'm not closing my position here, because that will be literally a break even. I just was looking at my position and probably closing it there. I can buy a few beers with that. Is not worth really. I prefer to let it come down and fill my next order, and then have another chance if this is not going to attempt to break the previous support. And you can see we complete the flag. The next one is on the table, is that 69 liquidation level in there. That is the support of the daily. The 4 hour complete reset is somewhere around here. I don't understand how come it's so low, but that's how we've been losing momentum on the 4 hour. It's just a projection of a line in that direction. Let's see the short-term liquidity in here. This is the 2-week chart. And yeah, we took all the 2-week liquidity. If could manage to get beyond 81. That's where we can get 85. I'm not so sure we can get into 90 because that is a range of 16K back into 90 from the lows of the price. For that, we need a V recovery on general markets. Maybe we can have a look at general markets to see what's possible. And the 80K, the 81 that we just pierced is still there. So new layer of shorts enter right at 81 saying, nope, I want this to become resistance. And if they win, of course, we won't be able to take our hands into 85, neither 89. Let's look at the order book very quickly. You can see that the signal of 0.20 something was again, so many times it's been correct. Even when it's wrong in this area, you can DCA them. So you enter on the first if you are in an urge to enter the market, in the second, in the third, and the DCA that this provides still is great for an entry because it's an accumulation of limit orders below the price. And that typically indicates that there is buying pressure. Let's see how the longs are throwing the towel in here. If we had a move from 70 into, let's say, 40, I will say, okay, let's run through the hills. 81 is not going to be broken, but we are so far at 65, right? So that is a 6% of longs took profits and went away. The rest are still around 65. Let's remember that 65, 66 in all this range there was enough to hold the collapse of the price at 81 multiple times in here and also in this area. So we are at 65 after hitting 71 and we are at extreme fear. There is a chance, okay? I'm not going to say, wow, we have huge opportunity here, but there is a chance that we go to 85 and we still have 106 million of delta. That was in the morning, actually. Now we have 600K. So we lost 40% of that petrol, but we still have 600K, which is a lot. So if market maker wants to go for those dudes, until let's say it takes half of that, I think that will be enough to cross that 81 once again. Looking at the 81, that 81 this morning was I think it was the highest. I believe it was one of the highest, maybe similar to 89. And new shorts enter, placing their liquidation levels once again around 81. So it's going to be a big battle. They are persisting in here with shorting this level, and they want a great entry, of course. So let's see if they're going to be able to do that. And as you can see, I pretty much don't care. I have a small order entering at 79. If we go to 85, take profits, goes lower, add more. I'm pretty much acting like a machine on this thing. Whatever happens, I just continue with the plan. This is FAR charts, and let's see where we have support. I'm not sure if this is up to date. So let's refresh. Let's go to the monthly. Let's see the percentile like this. And what do we have about the price? I care a lot about that. So little bit of selling starts from 82. There is some selling at 78.56, but the price, where is the price? Let me find the price. I want a fresh price, 78,790 and 78. Okay, so where we are, we have 17 million in selling, and there is support at 74, 31 million at 73, 26 at 69. And above the price, resistance is at 84. So if we get there, that could be a great area to take profits. I think the 84 was the point of control. So if you believe that this is going to be a rejection, 81 is the first place where we can get rejected. 84 is the second one. But if we go beyond 84, we enter into full bullish mode. And for that, we need to have some reassurance that we really can do that. As you can see, we are insisting there at the resistance, and going beyond that level. Let's say we go to why is this not up to date? Let's refresh it. Okay, so this shows 78, 81 is here, and the top of the falling wedge at the moment is 83. So if we go beyond 83 at the moment, if we close at 84, we conquer the point of control of this range, and that puts us in the upper bullish area of this range. And I think that if we continue in this bearishness with general markets, that's very difficult. So if we want to take profits maybe at 84 while looking at general markets, if general markets are doing something really like V recovery, well, we can hold that position for longer into 89 and then see what happens later. But so far, by the way, let's have a quick look at general markets in here. So we probably have all the stocks already open. We can see that, let me put this, no, let's keep it on daily because I want to see if we close the gap. And I think we did, because the the VIX went down, it closed the gap. Nasdaq, did you close the gap? Yep. S&P, we closed one gap, but we have two gaps up into 550 and this one into 536. So S&P has some incentive to go and hit this level as resistance, 553. Nasdaq, not necessarily. Nasdaq is done, is ready for continuation to downside if there is still bearishness. And let's look at what NVIDIA is doing. Well, NVIDIA is almost about to get into my final target of $72, which I cannot believe. 88. So what's this distance? $15 distance to the final target. Crazy. These patterns we were looking for so many months from around this area, mid 2024, that we are talking about this rolling over. I put these lines at the end, but I was talking that this should play like Bitcoin. All right, so I'm gonna go into questions. If you have any requests apart from XRP, I'll have a look in just a second. But in the meantime, while you write down your questions, I'm gonna do TA of XRP. Daily requests. Let's load it. There you go. So we broke last week on Sunday for the first time my support of $2 on XRP. And that is what I was fearing. And that's how I earned so many enemies, because I talk really crap about XRP all the time. And, the army doesn't appreciate that. But the $2 was the support. The final line in the sand was 1.9 in this area in here, just because we have so many weeks piercing that level. But on Sunday, we closed at 192. And immediately after, we went almost into the next level, which is 157. That coincides with the highs of April 2021. So XRP, now it's kind of mimicking what Bitcoin has done, and still, performing better than Nasdaq, because Nasdaq in this area, in the current price action, has already taken the lows of all this area in 2024. From January 2024, it took all the lows. Sorry, am I looking at 2021? I'm sorry, this is not April. April is, you see, I'm talking bullshit. March 2024, these are the highs, and I was referring to this as March. Anyways, that is the high of the previous cycle, and that is the importance of the level of 157. It's not the highest, it's actually the highest close price on a weekly basis. And we are testing that level, and I think that is. mm, Let me see the RSI. Where are we with the RSI? I was going to say that if I'm trying to guess to understand if that could be a strong level of support. And it is psychologically a strong level of support because it was around the highs of the previous cycle. The highest level was 195. That is the level we broke this weekend. Then the highest close is 156. That's the level we test. So around that band, there is all the hope from XRP holders that this is just going to be a deviation, and then eventually we're going to break out to upside again. But for that, we really need momentum. And momentum at the moment is just rallying away from the resistance. So it lost the support. It's right there in the median. It's more or less with the same momentum prior to the breakout, which is the 50s. And well, if you lose this 50, you enter territory of the cents, 50 cents, 40 cents. And that is around the full reset. So if you get a full reset bear market, that is RSI 30. Let's see where that is. I was supposed to give psychological support, and I'm kind of crushing everybody with this TA. I should be doing a bit more hopium today. Eh, no, let's look at that number. That is just not doable from here. It's giving a completely crazy number. Let's focus on levels of support. So the longs have defended this line in here, and XRP finally is going away from the area of too many longs. They're being crushed, and we are approaching the level of 38. And yeah, hopefully this is going to hold that support, and we are not going to get another one of this like in July 2023. If we bounce from here, that is probably going to be in the price around the 150, 158. And that could turn into hopefully support. Let's look into another coin. But before I go into that, I want to read liquidation levels on XRP. And yeah, we are done now with the 4-hour longer term liquidation levels. So anything any additional downside now from XRP really doesn't have much liquidity left. There is between 160, but then if we get into 140, there's really nothing left in here. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I would have liked to see some other levels in here that we could potentially assess as a final line in the sand. There's just the 50 cents. That's the beginning of the rally. But at that point, not so many people are still in a long to target them. It's not much incentive to go there. All right, let's go into other questions, and I'm gonna go from the top. BTC holding 78. Emotional support hedge. Bogna is saying, Mariano, we are not getting all-time high again this year. It's I don't say no. I won't say no, because remember that we are in a very similar situation. That's my thesis at the moment, that we are in a very similar situation compared to 2021. And just to explain that, let's go into weekly. I think I need to use the monthly. So let's explain. In 2021, we have yep, I found it. We have this rally, the one that went into 65K in the first half of 2021. And then we test the resistance at the top. We saw a rejection, and then we lost the RSI support, as you can see in here. If we place this with that pivot in September 2020, then we lose it in May, and then we have a revenge rally. That revenge rally like this can produce an all-time high. So all you need is basically, 1 month down, which is May, another month down of the momentum, June, and then in July, you start very humbly pushing the momentum upwards, slowly, steadily, and around August, we broke out with the price and we carry on into resistance in October. October test the same line. So if we were to have something like this, that means that April should be red to get the same formula. May should be red. And then we get these two levels down, and then we can come back to the same line and approach it as a revenge rally. That move up that puts a lower high on the RSI monthly is just enough to get you a new all-time high. It's not an all-time high really satisfying because, after having done 65 to do 69, and I'm not gonna get my head with dirty ideas, but after getting 65, getting a 69 is not enough for most people. Most people wanted 150K, and uh, well, we didn't get it. When we were testing that, they were saying, yeah, 150. If they were looking at that line, they will say, no, that's a revenge rally. It has a high likelihood of rejection, and that's what happened. You can get that in 2025, but we need similar conditions. And M2 was printing at that point, and you know, a bunch of elements were still in place, allowing for that to happen. If we don't get that, then it's going to look like this, like the rally of 2018, where you break that support and then you uh, fast forward into into bear market. Why am I pointing to this one, and why I'm not pointing you to 2018? Because on 2018 we have a blow of top, and as a consequence of that, when you get a blow of top, euphoria in the market, when you break support on the monthly, you just go straight in a tunnel directly to the bottom of the bear market. In this bull market in 2021, we have the COVID crash, and we didn't get a blow of top at 65. And that left people still waiting for more. And that more was this. And if we get that situation again here, we don't have a blow of top. We are losing early in the cycle the monthly. People are talking about the bear market in general markets. If we get any revenge rally, that is going to look like that. Whether it's an all-time high or not, well, who knows? But it can be a revenge rally. Right. Next question. Is the hash ribbon signal a failed signal? Oh, good question. I like that one. I was thinking about that the other day and I forgot to open the hash ribbon chart. So far in history, there's been many signals where there is drawdown after the buy from the hash ribbons. For example, this one has, in my opinion, the worst one. It had a drawdown of 28% after the buy. Then we got another buy in here, and this one had a drawdown of just 3% before going 60% up. So at the moment, the hash rate is looking really healthy in here, and that is something positive for the price. This one I as well was looking pretty good in this area, but then we put another bearish cross there in the hash rate that produced another buy signal. So I think that, in order to say it's a fail signal, it depends what is the way you are qualifying it as failed. If you want to call this one with a drawdown of 28 as failed, but even if after it gave still a 60% up, well, fair enough. Then you can say it failed that one, and then this one could fail as well. The advantage on Bitcoin that makes it easy to say that all the signals play out is that Bitcoin has been in an uptrend all year by year. You get 1 year bad, and then 2-3 years good, and then 1 year bad, and like that. Therefore, it's just a matter of waiting. But even if you get a signal like here, for example, this one in the bear market in August 2022, then you have a drawdown of 24, and well, then it goes up. So it's Bitcoin allows you to say it still play out because it went up. Although this one print here and it had some upside of 8% before finally finding the market bottom, whereas this one went from the top straight down 28%. And it could happen again, I guess, if you get general markets to crash big. The US stock market just gained and lost several trillion dollars of market cap in a matter of minutes, and due to a fake headline claiming that Trump was considering a pause on tariffs. Oh, I understand. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of that, really. Your birthday is 10th of April as well. That's great. Uh, well, I'm also getting into my 50s, so maybe we are not that far. Sometimes get invalidated the hash ribbon in some events. CNBC confirms following news is fake. Donald Trump considers pausing tariffs. So, well, yeah, it's all gonna be really painful from now with the news. So be careful, really, with those fake news. I'm gonna check, Tori, if Grass token has history, because I really need to do TA based on price action. So if it's just listed, it's very difficult to do anything. So on this one, I'm gonna do possibly on the daily. And this is Grass token. It's got support at 1.2. And let's see this area in here. I like that area of $2. Let's place it at $2. And I like the area of 1.2. And we can also see that there is this squeeze going on in here. I'm interested in that. We are getting close to that resistance at 59 RSI on the daily. And if we break out from here, that could indicate that we are going to break beyond the $2. Let's see where we are with the longs and shorts. There was a lot of longs. That is kind of an all-time high of longs if we consider 27 November, 3rd of March, and 4th of April. They are insisting the longs. They really want to long this coin. The volume weighted moving average is holding the price at the moment, and the median on the RSI as well, squeezing it against that daily resistance. In this particular setup, I wouldn't like to trade the breakout in here. I wouldn't wait for this to be at 61 and then have so little room to go up. I would prefer to enter at support. If we come back into this support of 41, assuming that really this coin is worth trading. I really don't know any fundamentals about this. Never heard about it. 41, the price is at 131 at the moment. It's a moving target. So if it takes longer to get here, it might go up as well. And yep, that's all I can say about Grass. Let's go with SUI or SUI. USDT. And let's go with the weekly time frame. So at the moment, SUI is defending the $2. That was the highs of April 2024. And that is good. And when it comes to the RSI, I left a line in here from this top of March 2024. I say that, well, we measure that the RSI got into here, and we did a similar measurement around here. So we are entering the area of value relative to what we did already in July 2024. The only caveat to trade this as a fractal, if you want, because this RSI movement in here, I've been talking about it in SUI, that is very similar to this one, same proportions, just a different range, and we lost the support, and all those things match perfect. Even the amount of longs and shorts at the same areas, and there's a lot of things resembling that. So I will be cautious in here with the accumulation on sweep, although it's an area of value. If you know really we have a deeper correction on Bitcoin, of course you need to be prepared to buy way lower and average down, or just call it a loss. But this is a decent area to start dipping your toes on sweep, assuming that you don't have. If you already have and you're worried about if it's going to recover, then it's a different question. Um, let me see what area it could turn into strong resistance. Um, I will say $3 is going to be tough to beat because it was support all the area that was bullish. And then it became, the difference between being bullish and now bearish. So as we approach $3, watch out with that. I suspect that $3, looking at the RSI, is going to be once the RSI meets with this. That's typical. We can calculate that actually. Let's do it. So if SUI goes into 53, and assuming that it doesn't carry on completely fulfilling the length of this line into 35, so what did I say? 52? 53. So let's say we go into 53. That can bring you back into around $3. So yeah, pretty much a little bit higher than 297 is 3.1 really. So that could be a rally revenge of 53% up. And if you really think that we are entering a bear market, because there will be two teams, people thinking, no, we're going to recover. I'm part of that with 1 feet still. And there will be people saying, no, this is the end. So let's unload everything. So if your strategy, your thinking is, I need to unload, what is the best place to unload? One place to unload a bit to consider is $3, I will say. Of course, if we go beyond $3, then things start turning bullish. So you might as well think, well, maybe higher targets to unload the rest, or most of it. And if we get a altcoin season and Bitcoin recovers with a V recovery, like COVID kind of scenario, then you want to wait longer. So you have targets to $10. That's the golden pocket. But we need to adjust that. So I think this is going to come down lower now. We need to move this to 172. And that puts these targets slightly lower. Not that much, but 97. And the ratio of 1 is 6.7. Yeah, just a little bit lower. All right, let's go with the next coin. I think I cover everything about SUI. Yeah. Next one is DOT. Let's go with DOT USDT. So far, no one is asking anything psychological, emotional support. That means that you're doing fantastic. I'm jealous. Where is the support of DOT? Wow, we lost the support. Crap. So support was 3.7, kind of last level of support in history of Polkadot, and we pinch 3.3. Really ugly. I even use this move in here to give us an example of what is a bad example of breaking out from a falling wedge, that you move to the resistance, you break it, and then you put a new low. You kind of look for a double bottom in there, but you don't really defend it, and then you end up in a downtrend again. So this is no longer this pattern. Um, we we could say that the resistance. No way. Let me connect the bodies of the candle. No. There's no way. This is too artificial. What can we do in here, really? This looks like a disaster, but, well, this period from March into November also looked like a disaster. That's all I can say. And we can even copy all these candles into here. It's pretty much what Dolca did twice in this cycle. We got a double top there at $10. And I don't even want to know where it's pointing, probably to negative prices. So I'm not going to interpret it as a double top, but it's a bearish pattern, we have to say. Let's look for how would it look at relief rallying here. We lost support again. Our resistance is 42. It's just too close to the price, probably. It's not really worth any trade. Nope. It's just pointing to $4. From where we are, that is a 10% or a little bit more up. The volume weighted moving average is at 6.7. Next resistance is 5.6. I think 5.6 is doable. Looking at the past price action, every time we enter in this area, this is the area for accumulation. So one hypothesis is that we need to find in here kind of a bottom below the 3.6 if we carry on lower. And once we find that bottom, we're going to get some sort of accumulation price action on DOT. And if things turn back into bullish, then from there we can trade it. But at this point, just losing that level and being during the week below it, it looks really ugly. The only hopium I can give you is the liquidity hands scenario, which is we reclaim 3.7 and then we need to regather. And if we close the weekly about 3.7, we need to talk about DOT again. Then it's a completely different scenario. It means that, the recovery for this and we could head up. And I'm not talking just 3.8, something like a green candle, decent, like an engulfing candle that goes to 4.3, something like that. Then you got my attention. Well, this is an extreme of what I'm looking for, right? So a bounce from 3.7 into 5.2. There you go. Then we need to talk again. Next coin. Dot we need near. Okay. All right. So the falling wedge is again destroyed. We have new lows in here. We can place this kind of like that. It's not that bad. Let's remove this line. And we lost it to $6. That was support and resistance. Where was it? Resistance. So support there. No, this is 2.5. I need a new line in here, somewhere in the middle. Let's look back in time. Okay, I got some confluence there at 1.8 with the mid-cycle low of 2021 and kind of the bear market in here, 2023, and that could provide some support. Let's expand this. Let's see where it is. It's 1.8, and probably we're going to impact that very soon, the 1.819. And let's see how we react with that. Of course, if we go just to 1.1, there we are at the bottom of the bear market. Wow, really ugly. We need to adjust these targets in case we have a recovery, a decent recovery. We have the $10 there in mind for near. Yeah, not looking great because we cannot we don't even have a double top in here. We just have lower highs, lower equal high, and then lower lows as well. Really, most of the coins are going to look really bad at this point. What we need to do is do a relative comparison, which ones looks less bad, to try to speculate which ones are going to have a better recovery. Remember that if you are holding something really bad and has been affected by bad news, they're closing down the company, you are better off at some point rotating that into a better performing asset that once we get recovery, you benefit from a faster upside. And that will be my mind. Although I'm not applying it with Ethereum, so I'm preaching, but I'm not gonna do it with Ethereum. I'm just gonna hold that crap until the end, um, no matter what. Um, Philson is asking if I can do TA of MicroStrategy. Let's go into the indexes and let's look quickly at MicroStrategy. How are you doing, guys? Are you enjoying the live stream? We have 557 people. That means that we're still not in a bear market. If we had 20 people, I will say, gosh, this is the end. MicroStrategy, yeah, I was talking about this triangle. I think I talked about this over the weekend, and I was saying that we are squeezing into the resistance of $300, but we lost the triangle, and we are about, I mean, this week, this is a weekly candle. If it closes below 255, we have a lower close, and that strengthens the idea that we are going to the target of 180, which I don't understand why we are not there, because the highs of March, the 73.5, were already touched with Bitcoin. So I struggle sometimes to understand why it looks so different, the price action of MicroStrategy. I would have expected today that MicroStrategy has already met my target of 180, but it's here with a green candle pointing to 270. And sure, because Bitcoin went down when MicroStrategy was close the market. Maybe that's the case. Maybe in pre-market it did that move. I don't know. But that's the target, 180. The next target down is 104. Of course, to get there, Bitcoin and everything needs to go lower as well. If Bitcoin does a V recovery, MicroStrategy needs to reclaim 309. That is a must. That's the level we were trying to reclaim here end of March, but we couldn't. Let's look at RSI. And I like the monthly here. Let's say MicroStrategy does this. That will be a great setup. So if we complete this double bottom, this is the month of April. So in May, if we go to 61 on the monthly and we complete that pattern, if we get into 69 RSI, how high can we get with that? That takes us back into 422. Yeah, but that is absolutely subject to the monthly RSI completing a double bottom pattern in here, hopefully with a bullish divergence, and all the goodies. And then we can have a rally revenge into this lost, support in the bull market, which is kind of a big deal actually for MicroStrategy. So watch out for that. We are right there pending from that number. Careful with entering a short in here because the horse can kick back and push to quite high there if it gets a dead cat bounce there. Let's go with the next one. A shift coin. Okay, someone is trading shift coin meme coins. Alts. Shiv USDT. I want to see. I'm gonna compare this with Doge. So in Dodge, what's going on in here? We have the highs of March. We are defending this ascending line. We went to almost pinch it at 0.13 to this week. We have a higher high in December relative to March. So if we go to Shiv, we don't see kind of the same that we see in Dodge. So that's probably a matter of the preference that people are having on Dodge because they think, it's Elon Musk thing, it's the government, we have some sort of advantage. But you can see Shiv relative to Dodge looks not that great. Dodge is around here and Shiv is below that line. And Shiv has a double top, a lower high in November, and well, the support. And let's see the RSI. The RSI was defending 40 and it tested as resistance, and now it's kind of here. I'm interested actually here if we can complete that double bottom. That will be great this month. Let's say we close at 41 and we get a breakout from there, and then that rally that I was talking about before on Shiv, this one. So I'm gonna leave that as an idea. And notice as well that longs have been squashing here from 80 all the way to 21. So that's all a full range of reset of longs, and it can get to 10. So keep an eye on that. So it's a meme coin. It can get really little number of longs, and we are at the moment at 26. So there is a potential additional downside of longs pulling out even further. It's a meme coin again. And the bottom of the range at the moment is 32. That is because twice we have been at 32. So statistics are bringing that number in here. And let's see, 32. So I need to look into 40 and 32. 40 is to do the breakout to the upside to reclaim the lost support. So we need to close beyond this line, which is 1164, and we need to prevent. We have the final line at around 518. Wow, that's really low. Well, it's the lowest percentile, and all this line is saying is that the RSI has been there twice. So watch out for that line. It's not saying we're going there, but if you are in any strategy, just keep in mind that RSI twice in history has gone that low on this asset. So it's healthy to know that number. It gives you a range. Next coin. Okay, I didn't cover any upside, by the way. Sorry, my bias is not giving any upside in here. So another rally into low support can get you back into 1651. And this level in here, 58, which is the full-on revenge rally, assuming we get above RSI 40 on the weekly, and it needs to be, this week we close, let's say we close here at 36, next week we close at 41, then we get a confirmation up, and that takes us back into 58. That's kind of the aggressive target. And 58, let's see if it's worth. That takes back the price into 23, 24. Let's say we reclaim that level. I think it was around here. That is a rally of 94%. People get impressed with these targets, but also you need to account for what is the risk. The risk is 54% down. I think I left the line there. So you get a 53 risk down with a 94 upside with an aggressive target. So it's like a 2-to-1 risk reward. in terms of range up, range down. So watch out for that. Don't just look at the 94 and say, 94, excellent, give it to me. I'm gonna trade it. Yeah, 54. That's the one that you need to pay attention. Unless you're not trading. If you're just gambling, that's fine. Can you do a Hbar? I'm not sure if that's a typo. Hbar? Is it Hbar? I guess it's Hbar, but I'm gonna do Hbar anyways. I don't think there is an Hbar with E. So Hbar, Hedera Hashgraph, or Hedera, whatever is pronounced, is testing the support of March, just like many other coins that are doing decently well. You remember, many of them are around here, many of them are in this area about to lose it. So being at the highs of March and having a higher high is not that bad. We need to defend 13.4, and the RSI is in a decent setup in here. We are not that far off from the resistance at 47. It's kind of a bull flag that is meeting 2 points. So the support in here after this breakout is finally landing in here at the support of the breakout. So if we want to have another wave, we could look into RSI weekly of 40. And that's 1 point of interest. Second one is the breakout if we manage to produce it. The longs are coming from 78 to 43, so there could be additional rinse in here to happen until we meet with 35, the higher band. The lower is 29. Yeah, it's doing significantly better than other coins at the moment. That's something to consider. And in terms of socials, really no one is talking about Hedera. So this was a time where everybody was talking about it. This is a time where no one is talking about it. And it's not a signal that you have to, no one is talking about Hbar, therefore I'm going to buy it. But it's on your side. So if you have something else, you have little people looking at it, you should consider, okay, maybe I'm getting lucky because no one is caring about it. No one is posting anything about this coin, and I'm finding something good. That is much better than finding a buy signal when everybody's looking, because that is something that you should probably skip. How is Mantra holding better than BTC? Mantra, what is the symbol? I think it's OM USDT. And I hope we're talking about the same one. Yeah. OM lost support in March, and it printed a bearish divergence in February. It's in a bearish structure, and longs are very persistent, like crazy. The longs haven't stopped, higher highs and higher lows. We are at 71. Wow. How can it be there is so many longs in this coin? Is this manipulated, these numbers of delta longs and shorts? I mean, the source is external. It's not my data. I just do the math on top of that external data, but it's looking like so many longs in here. They haven't been flushed at all. They're still holding. The price action is above the volume weighted moving average. The last time it hits that, it bounced off and is still far away from it. It's crazy. But there is bearish divergence at the moment. And what's next level of support if we had a decent correction? Well, we have $4.2. Then we have resistance at $8.50. And let's say I'm scanning, $1 $5. And let's say this was 3.3 is support. This is a bull flag, by the way, but I don't know how to trade it really, because on the RSI, I don't have points of touching here. I don't have any pivots yet. What we do have is the next resistance, which is this 75 RSI. Okay, let's go for that for now. Let's see if the bull flag breaks out and we go. Oof, I keep forgetting the stupid numbers. 75. Where are you? Oh wow, that's a new all-time high that gets you into $10. And that's just a move in here into the loss support. So if longs continue strong in here, it's doable, that $10. And that $10 is still a new bearish divergence. So that will push the price higher, but the RSI a lower high. So that will create a new bearish divergence and the continuation of a channel down. So I'm not necessarily being bullish on the momentum by doing this setup. Bullish on momentum will mean that this guy goes here into the top of the range, into 95. It's been already in 86. What the hell is it doing that in February? Anyways, I'm impressed with Hbar. It's been a while. I don't look at it. So far, we have held the low of 76. And that is very bullish. It's not over, far from it. Yes, we're holding, but it's just Monday. And, there's been a lot of water under the bridge. That is what we say in South America. And we need to wait to see things settling a little bit, to see some sideways to make those statements. And it's just a few hours of Monday to really say, okay, 76 held that's it. We're going up. Yeah, of course we can be going up, but I wouldn't make my full call on just that. Remember, my setup this morning is bullish, but it's bullish for short term. It's just to close those gaps in general markets, and S&P has a couple of gaps up. Nasdaq are gone, VIX are gone, and if we get lucky, we get into 85. That's why I'm doing a long with small volume, just not to get wrecked if I'm wrong. What black swan events in next months are possible? Damien is asking. Woo. I don't know. I know I make it sound like there is some sort of crystal ball here, but I really don't know. I I I was expecting to see certain levels of RSI on VIX. That's just momentum. It's not magic. It's literally, in simple terms, it's like watching a car and knowing that the feet is in the accelerator and thinking, well, if one time I press it this strong, the next time, well, I might press it that strong, following that trend, and we can get there. We can get to the next town. Is it magic? No, it's just a bit of, analytic thinking and maybe math if you want. I'm surprised XRP is holding here. Yes, I'm also surprised that it's holding that 156 that they push back up. It's mimicking Bitcoin. It could be worse, definitely. Solana. Yeah, let's do Solana. Here it is. Yeah, it's been disappointing, Solana. And I'm never gonna stop saying I sold at 270. I'm sorry, I have to say it because I got so much hate for selling at 270 and 28 in XRP. So much hate. People say that I really don't understand crypto because of that, and I don't understand crypto. I don't want to understand crypto. I want to understand trading. I don't care about crypto. And yes, it pinched below $100. Crazy. So last time I saw it was at 106. So it went to 95. That is around this area in here. So there's probably a liquidity in this area because it was traded for about a few weeks before shooting back up. There's probably an order block there. And the target of this double top is $66, and I'm starting to feel more comfortable talking about my target, because the first time I put the target in the chart, when we were around this area of 170, I had to convince people that I'm interested to buy 150, and still I was looking ridiculous talking about 150. And when I didn't buy, they asked me, "Did you buy?" No, I still don't buy. And then I put this target in there, and I'm silently, waiting for something really good for Solana. I don't want to be part of a huge, huge, huge dump. Not saying I'm gonna necessarily wait until 70, but I want to see some reversal in here. And I think in the past video, I explain a bit of that, what I'm expecting, what I'm not expecting as a forecast, what I want to see to be interested. And I do want to see a double bottom formation with kind of going sideways in the momentum. So far, this is just a huge puke with, the highs are disgusting. You see, massive low, tiny high, massive low, tiny high, massive low, sideways. How can I be interested like that? I need to see, at the very least, a high here that is of the proportions of any of the other candles going lower. Otherwise, it's just still a falling knife. Um, let's look at liquidation levels on Solana. Sorry, it's here, Solana. So just like XRP, trading different ran out of liquidation levels below the price. It just cannot track lower in time, longer in time in here. So you see Solana was moving up and down in all this area. Can I put it in the daily? Oh, yes, perfect. Maybe we can get more. Right. We got this 107 that is gone. We got the 103 that is gone. And we have some levels that are still tracking here. Unfortunately, we're not going to see any of this. It's clear to me that it starts tracking from around January 2024. So just beyond a year. And then after that, it doesn't know anything. So we don't know what we have below the price. And there's just this heel there of the $90 that ends at $87. And then there is a final heel at 78, and then very sharply down. And on the upside, we got this liquidation at 150 that we couldn't take twice in March. And I will say that could be a great dead cat bounce. It could be interesting to trade that, to find, DCA on all this area and then up. But the only problem is that you need to take a lot more serious Solana than Bitcoin, because in the bear market, it went to $8. And, nothing really tells me that in the bear market, it wouldn't go back there or even lower than that in the bear market. So when you do a DCA strategy here on Solana, it's a different beast relative to Bitcoin. If I'm DCAing and I put some orders, let's say at 70, 60, and 50, if I have some cash on the sides, I feel comfortable that I can do something about it. But in the bear market of this beast, you get some legs down of 57. This leg down is 80 in one go. Boom, 80. That is your DCA strategy. And then the move up is, so shallow. It looks like 80 as well, but it's so shallow that if you average down Solana, let's say you average here, then double down, and then double down, then your average is here. That's it. So this move up, still a red back, and the red back carries on. You run out of cash, and you need to wait one more year to be break even, and hope that it's going to come back in these periods where they were saying Solana was related to Sam Bankman-Fried and it's going to go to hell and all of that. I just held it as something that I thought it was going to be a full loss, and then I sold it at 270. I was so happy. But definitely DCA, take it more serious. I will say with this sort of coins, it's kind of a must to use a stop loss. So if you are accumulating here, you have a stop loss at, let's say, $60 on Solana. That is better than DCN all the way down into $8 in the bear market. Okay, Solana is done. Coinbase liquidation the Coinbase. Okay, let's do that one, and that's gonna be the last one. I think I'm way too long in this stream. Let's do coin, and we call it coin. So I'm expecting you to want the coin, unless you want the stock coin, because I cannot find coin. Maybe it's USD. No, I'm not aware about that coin. Sorry. Unless you want because you say liquidation levels and RSI. So are you talking about the stock? A hot war in Europe or the Middle East. Coin mantra, I did it already. Would like to see ETH moving. Other potential black swans. We did sweep. We did all of that. The Fed. I'm just looking for a final coin to review before closing the stream. Oh, let's do EOS. Yeah, I think it was performing really well. Okay, let's clean this chart. I think these levels are too old. We need to recheck everything. Okay, we got a breakout on the weekly. It's way too late to enter, I will say. Okay, we have in here some levels that are very interesting. We have support in here. You see how many times I talk about the liquidity hunt? This is the perfect example of a liquidity hunt. You have support multiple times on EOS in October. You break below it, and the next week you come back with a massive green candle. That is the setup that gets you into 1.5. At the moment, we are facing resistance at 76. We have the volume weighted moving average resistance as well. We have a double top. No, not necessarily. It's quite higher in December, I think. Let's continue cleaning all of this. Let's see if we can connect these three. Not necessarily. So I will say below 74 to 44 has been the accumulation area, and it's been just ranging and trying to break out, but it hasn't managed. What we have from the previous cycle is crazy relative to what we have now. We have these two tops at $14, and we are still trading, trying to even get to $2, which is the lowest price in the previous cycle. So bear market of 2020 is our resistance, and it's our best dream at the moment. So if we can get outside this range in here of 76 and put a new high relative to this, and I'm going to look at the momentum because I'm curious about this increase of highs. First 1.2, 1.3, and then 1.57. I'm curious how it's looking on the RSI. So let's connect these two. It's kind of connecting like this. And support, it's like this. And recently, the move up from the bottom from 45 into 80 something was a breakout like that. And I think it's a no-go for me for a long, unfortunately, because there's just so many longs and we are in such a difficult time that it's very high risk that at this point they say, okay, that's it. let's take profits, let's just close the longs, and then cascade of liquidations back down into 46. It's very easy that happens. So far, it's been just a rejection of 70 something. If we reclaim that 70 something and we start putting candle closes above that on a weekly basis, then we can bring back the idea of fully completing, a target to top of the range. Let me see if is this line extending is realistic. So that is pointing to 82, and this one 74. 74 and 82 are really bullish targets if we get some bullishness later this year. And 82. 74, 82. 82, let's put it like a band of bullishness. So that can get us into between 150 and 2.3. 2.3 and 150 is the bullish band at the moment. Given the circumstances of where we are, it's very important that we know what is this price as well, in case we see this, or even if we see this. So that line in the sand there, which is 43. Let's do it on the colored one. 43. There you go, in red. So you can see it. Yeah, that's pretty much going back where we came from at 50 cents. Remember, that's a candle close basis. So price can go and pierce 44 and then, close at 50. That's where it's pointing a potential close if we just test again the support. And that's already something bullish, I will say. Most of the coins in this listing here, when they done that, they have lost, and they have gone for a B plan, which is losing this and then revenge rally. So by telling you going to 50, that is still in the context of this uptrend from July 2024. EOS has been putting higher highs in the momentum, and even if you go to 43, that's still a higher high. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thanks so much for all the questions and everything. And I'll see you in the next video. Probably I'm going to put an update tonight on Bitcoin to see where we are. At the moment, I'm kind of break even, more or less. No emotional support. No one wants emotional support. Guys, I don't know where the market is going. Popcat? No, thanks. No, thanks. BTC, I'm going to do an update later tonight, separate from this live stream. This is already